MandaloreGaming, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Tonight I'm going to be reacting to a video requested by Eduardo Blob. Yes, it's called Necromunda Hired Gun Review by MandaloreGaming. If you want to check out my previous reactions to other MandaloreGaming's reviews on games, remember the playlist card is going to be at the top. Just click on it and be able to access them. If you want to check out the original video as well as MandaloreGaming's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's not Cadia, but this gang war is providing me with more material than usual.
Cadia? Warhammer 40k? Okay, alright.
Ah, Cadia.
Strumon Studio is back with another 40k game. While Space Hulk Deathwing did have some amazing art direction, I thought the gameplay was too restrictive, especially with how great the freedom was in I-Divine Cybermancy along with whatever the hell else was going on. I remember going, man, I wish they just made I-40k. After playing Necromunda Hired Gun, I think they thought so too.
Man, is this the game? It really does look like grim dark, if I can say that. You know, everything is so dark and rusted looking and grimy. Yeah, from what I could just, tell from those few pictures there, images, I mean.
Now first and foremost, this is a review copy of the game. I typically don't do these videos before launch, so I first want to answer questions that I would have, especially with how Deathwing first came out. The fidelity isn't quite as sharp as Deathwing, but it runs a hell of a lot better to compensate. My PC is still in 1080 land because I don't want to give scalpers any money, but it ran smoothly overall, and this is before special drivers or anything like that. When things got very busy, the game could slow down at times, but it was never like PowerPoint tier. Usually it was from something like a bunch of explosion particles, and it would be brief. I ran the game at 1440 with everything maxed out, so that all seems like a good sign. I'd guess on newer hardware you might not have any issues, but I don't know. If you saw the trailers or annoyed by the flashing critical hit text or the loot icons or anything similar, you can turn it all off. The font, loot outlines, everything. Very welcome. As for bugs, make no mistake, this is a janky game.
Man, would you look at this place? All the steel and it looks like it's claustrophobic, this place. You know, like you're in a factorium section of Necromunda. Yes, you know. Like, it's just a lot of factory work, a lot of pipes, a lot of, things that are moving around. This place is just, it's a workstation, but a very big workstation, if I could say that. Huh. And you're fighting in this place. Huh.
Good news is that it's not a Deathwing launch. The main campaign has 13 missions, and the whole thing took me about a dozen hours, and there was only one show-stopping bug in there. You need to find a container and do a put the coordinates in minigame for it, and the first time this flat out did not work. The container is random on each run, and there is a checkpoint right before this, and on that run, it worked fine.
You know what I find weird? Is that they have a computer, right? A computer screen, and then there's a candle. There's a candle right there. For what? You already have the screen lighting up the information. Why do you need the candle there? But anyways, it's Warhammer. Hey.
There is a side mission I thought was completely broken since the last man in a wave wouldn't come out and fight, but there was an area to snipe him, so still bad, but I can deal with it. The vast majority of the bugs I saw weren't game-breaking, but they were silly. Enemies not reacting to you if you're just far away enough at the right angle, getting stuck in the Superman mode for a bit, some lights going through walls. These were still rare for me. More than anything, you'll see witchcraft when performing a takedown, which I'll talk more about later. The last thing you expect when trying to saw a man's head off is to go flying to the stratosphere. Unless you live in LA with some bad PCP where you're used to that. The animation flight tickets do always put you back, but it's jarring. Finally, some of the cutscenes have some really bad audio mixing. The voices are way too muffled behind everything else where it sounds like they're talking like this. But when they sent the review copy, they did say that's an issue they're aware of.
I mean, but guys, just look at this place. It's messy. It's dark, it's cramped, there's stuff all around, there's blood on the floor, there's food on the drum. I think that's a drum there, I'm not sure. And you guys are just walking around in all this filth. Hey, yeah, grim dark indeed.
I'm aware something's wrong with my fridge too, but that doesn't mean I'll go fix it. So hopefully that'll be cleared up in a day one patch.
It's an
Okay, no, definitely they need to fix this. I can't even hear what this person is saying. It's so muffled and so silent. Oh gosh.
Alright, with that all done, I'll get back into the regular swing. Once again, their art team knows Warhammer. You call that a train? Now that's a train. On a technical level, Hired Gun looks like a AAA game from a few years ago. Most of the lighting and particle effects are great, but the textures can be a flip of a coin. Sometimes they're fantastic, and sometimes they're very muddy. The big
Is this place what Necromunda? Is Necromunda a hive city world, or is it a Factorium world belonging to the tech priests of Mars? You know, I'm just wondering about that because this place, I haven't seen any buildings where you would consider people living in them, like a habitat building or something like that, you know. So, like, I just see factories, a lot of factories, and in between factories, there's these dark alleyways and pipes and you know, all these other things that connect the factories together, you know, mishmashing them together. So I'm just wondering what is Necromunda, yes.
biggest shortcomings show up when a scene is bathed in light, which does happen more often than it probably should. However, it's not priced like a AAA game, so it's still hitting far above its weight. I do think it's a great looking game, but it's hard to separate things out.
It kind of reminds me of Dark Tide, you know, in terms of the graphics. Dark Tide also looks like a very, very nice Warhammer 40k game. I haven't played it. I've seen some, you know, gameplay videos on YouTube. And this one also kind of reminds me of it, you know? Yeah.
In the lore of 40k, Necromunda is a horrible factory planet. It's been pumping out weapons and pollution for thousands of years. Gangs the size of small countries wage wars over piles of trash. So when something is muddy and ugly, it at least fits the theme, I guess. What definitely sticks out as poor is some of the enemy animations, specifically the bigger dudes.
Did you see that guy run?
They can be stiff and sometimes they glitch out. So that sucks, but overall combat feedback is good.
I will say this about the game. They really know how to show the blood and gore, you know, of these weapons just plowing through people. Or, you know, seeing the character using a knife and slashing through the neck of a combatant. And yeah, it's really just blood splatter and gory and explosion of body parts. It's good.
The weapon animations are solid and you see debris and limbs fly off your enemies. All is right in the world here. Though I admit seeing a Picatinny rail on so many Warhammer guns is surreal. Though once again, the environment art ends up being the real star. The ridiculous 40k scale you'd expect is here and perfect.
I mean, just look at all of this. It's like the theme of this entire planet, because it's a factory world, is just iron, steel, you know, all forms of manufactured metallic alloys. That's what you see here. It's like Cybertron. It's like Cybertron for Cybertronians, you know. Like this entire place is just these metals and how they are formed and shaped into either machines or to guns or the very floor that they walk on or the transportation system that they use. There is no plant life. There is, I did see like mushrooms in a certain area, I think, but otherwise there's like no type of fauna or flora on this planet. Really, it's really depicting a factory world here, a Warhammer 40k, you know, factory world. Yeah.
The kind of scale where a moving train can reasonably be a city. What I especially like is that they try not to retread 40k environments you've seen before. Playing Deathwing, you spent a lot of time inside these cathedral-like structures. Necromunda's opening visually shows you going beneath a cathedral. We're not in Space Marine land, this is the grimy underworld. You have levels that are clearly influenced by classic cyberpunk, but they keep it Warhammer. Sometimes you're loitering outside the Tyrell building, sometimes you're inside the alien death cult. These are big levels.
Gene Stealer? Gene Stealers are on Necromunda? Whoa. Where are the Adeptus Arbites? Where are the the Astartes? Where are the I don't know who else is supposed to be investigating a gene stealer cult in Necromunda, but where are they? They need to be there. Oh gosh.
Too, and sometimes they shift into something new. There's a lot of creativity on display, and it goes down to the smallest detail. And again, they understand that this Warhammer shit is pretty silly.
Spot the difference. One of these guardsmen is a traitor. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think just about everybody expected them to deliver here, and they do, and more. Not only is it good atmosphere, but now you can get around and properly explore it. It's not an immersive sim or anything, but now you have a much longer leash for freedom. Speaking of which,
Oh, grappling hook. That reminds me of, what is it? Halo Infinity. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Master Chief also has a grappling hook, you know, pew, and it hooks on and he goes towards, you know, wherever the hook is based on, the wall or a being, a human being or an alien or whatever. Yeah. Cool.
I think they gave the composer some leeway too. The music is done by the same guy who did it for I Divine Cybermancy, Oliver Zuccaro? Well, however you say it, this man went to work. Some of the combat music does have some clear Mick Gordon Doom influence, but it's not a pure metal soundtrack. Some is more synth and reminds me of 80s action music, and that'll get mixed in with some Old West on the Frontier kind of tracks. There's also a ton of music, so I'm only going to show some bits.
Is that a dog? Okay.
Don't move. Who are you? The last person you'll ever see if you're not careful. You're not gonna take me down. I will if I have to. I killed those friends of yours, and I'll take you in dead if I have to.
The music is not, you know, what I would expect from a Warhammer 40k game. You know, you don't hear the piano work or the orchestra or, you know, this choir kind of music, this like gothic themed music. Yeah, it's very techno kind of music that I'm hearing here, and yeah, I guess it suits you know, the gameplay, because, well, the person you're playing as doesn't seem like a very religious person. You know, even the setting here, it's not very religious kind of fever based. You know, hopefully you guys can understand what I'm trying to say here. You know, no one's speaking about the God Emperor here. The first time we saw the cathedral was up at the surface and then we went down. So there is no, you know, ecclesiarchy down here. This is just a very run down, you know, dark, dystopian place where it's fittest of, the survival of the fittest, and you know, there's just no time for any of that kind of grand you know, music that you would hear with Warhammer 40k units like the Astartes or the Astra Militarum or you know, the Custodians or the Sisters of Silence, or you know, any of these famous household units of the Imperium of Man. You know, you would have that kind of music with them, but here it's not like that. Yeah, it's different. What was that? Was that like a squishy toy? Oh wow, alright. Why is that like a weapon as well? Definitely that grappling hook is reminding me of Halo Infinity. Yeah.
The genres and choices made here are perfect for this game. There are some Warhammer fans who just want the epic choir Dawn of War music, but that would not fit in at all in Necromunda. The ambient soundscape is good, and the weapons sound great too. Of course, every time a new 40k game comes out, people want to know how the bolter sounds. The one in the trailer did not sound good. Now it's good.
Okay. Guys, you know, I think maybe because when I imagine a bolter gun firing its bullets, right? The bolter bullet, right? I don't know. I expect the sound to be devastating, like thunder. You know, like when the Thunder Warriors had their bolter guns, and it was described as a very loud bang, like thunder was coming out from those weapons. That's what I'm expecting when I hear a bolter gun, you know, fire its ammunition. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I want. Let me just say that. Maybe I'll never be satisfied. But really, I just expect something that would terrify me. And that is not really terrifying. What the bullet will do to me if it, you know, hit me, that is terrifying, yes. But, you know, when the bullet leaves the gun, it just doesn't give me that effect to say, okay, this is a bolter gun. You know, this loud, very dangerous weapon is a bolter gun. You know, that's what I would want, but I don't really hear it from this gun. Yeah, sorry.
It's punchy and makes people explode sometimes. I'm happy with that. I know some people want a bolter to sound like a semi hitting their front door. I would want that one to be the heavy bolter, and sadly, I do think that underdelivers.
It's close. It's close.
One can only hope. Anyway, on to the gameplay. Necromunda's premise is simple. You're a bounty hunter out to make fat stacks. At the start, you only choose your character model and the difficulty. You can
How is it possible that these guys have such nice hairstyles in such a, you know, deplorable conditions and environment like this? People have mohawks, others they've styled their hair in very nice, you know, ways. I mean, where do you guys get the time? But okay.
change this at any time in the options menu. The first thing I noticed about the game is how good the movement feels. You move fast and jump high. You can dash in any direction on ground or in the air, and you have good air control without that. But this is only the first room. A brief tutorial introduces you to other mechanics like wall running. It's an easy way to clear gaps, avoid dangers, and fight. But you are falling down the wall, so no staying up there forever. You can also slide around from the get-go, but later you'll receive a grappling hook. This gives you more options for keeping range or getting close into the fight. Combined with an unlockable double jump, and you have a hell of a lot of mobility. The game doesn't test too often on mastering this movement, and when it does, it's pretty easy. Necromunda isn't trying to be something like Ghost Runner. It's mainly used as a fun tool to give you more options in a fight. You'll have a better time with the game, especially later on if you do master it, but it's not crucial, at least when it comes to environmental hazards. You could walk around Call of Duty style just blasting gangsters, but this becomes less and less viable the more the difficulty goes up. So it is a movement shooter, but don't expect Titanfall 2. A grapple takes you directly to a point, you can't go swinging off it or anything cool like that. I'll talk more in depth about the combat in a bit, but for now I want to focus on the game's structure. The story starts with the job gone bad approach, and you don't need to know anything about Warhammer for it. Knowing about Warhammer also doesn't add a lot. The cutscenes are very awkward with these constant fade-outs, and it becomes clear they're desperately trying not to show the characters' lips talking. The story itself doesn't matter, but it's a good framework to hang the campaign's levels on. Between these missions, you go to Martyr's End. It's a neutral zone that's like a bar, church, and armory combined into one. If you grew up in the American South, this is actually pretty normal. Here you can buy and sell items, customize yourself, customize your weapons, and upgrade your bionics. Bionic powers can drastically change how you play the game.
Bionics? Is that like, you know, your robot parts? Okay, alright. The fact that MandaloreGaming is saying that you don't really need to know about Warhammer 40k if you play this game. And even the game itself doesn't really connect itself to the universe out there of Warhammer 40k. That's quite interesting. Because this is like a Factorium world, and you're in the underhive of this Factorium world, you know, this is like a different world compared to the outer world. And even from the outer world, there's a far larger world or should I say space and universe out there that is just so different and so alien compared to what's going on down here on this Factorium world. So yeah, there is like a massive disconnect, and that's to be expected, really, because this place is like its own mini universe inside here. Like there's a lot of things going on here. You could live, yeah, you could be born, you could be living in here, and you will die here without knowing what's going on out there in space, you know, because this place is like a prison, a death trap. For those people who are living here, this is their life. Unless, of course, there's like an Astra Militarum recruiter who comes down here to say, you know, you might be someone special. We're going to take you. We're going to take you. We're going to take you. And you'll be fighting in space as part of the Astra Militarum. But otherwise, everyone else here, this is their lives. This is the beginning and the end of their lives in this place forever. And they will never know anything about the great wars that happen out there in outer space, you know, and hearing about Astartes and, you know, the Primarchs or anyone else of these brilliant warriors, men and women who fight for the Imperium of Man. They know nothing about those things. What they know is what's going on here in their world of Necromunda. So yeah, that's cool.
You have active abilities like an eye scanner, a temporary auto-aim function, and the ability to slow down time. These all cool down independently, so you can combine them and the game becomes very silly. But it is a glorious Warhammer silly. The Dragon ability from Eye and Space Hulk does make a return, but now it has an AoE. So between that and upgrading Cyber Legs, I feel right at home. Other upgrades are simple passives. Many give extra protection while strafing, wall running, or jumping. It gives you that much more incentive to stay moving during the fights. Bionics won't come cheap, so when you beat main missions, you unlock new side missions. There are 3 ranks of them that you also unlock, and they'll be given out by various factions. It could be destroying ammo, hunting people down, poisoning the air supply, releasing gene stealers, the usual special mission shenanigans.
Releasing gene stealers? Man, you guys, you don't take anything serious out here. The potential danger of these things, oh gosh.
Actually, that last one's a bad fucking idea. There are various kinds to browse, and you can always refresh it if you don't see anything you like. Main missions and some side missions will also have loot chests to find. You can equip these weapons during the mission, but you won't know their stats, since strangely you can't look at the menu until the end of it. They're cryptic about these menus, but this area on the right is your entire inventory. Your loadout is what you bring in a mission, this is everything you own. You may think that's a lack of space, and we'll come to that. As for no menu in the mission, it seems to be a way to try and cut down on inventory management. It assumes you want to sell everything unless you pick something out. I get the intention, but it's weird not to be able to look at anything while playing the game. I suspect there will be a lot of confused players at their first chest. There's a gamer joke there somewhere. But that's the main loop of the game. Did I need to talk about anything? Right. The dog. If little Timmy fell down a well in there, he can go to hell.
Yeah, that dog is weird.
To aid you on your journey, you get a big cyber mastiff. That's a nice idea, most people love dogs. Though from the marketing, I really wasn't sure what to make of it. I wasn't sure how the dog could be a constant companion, and it's not. Think of the mastiff less like a dog.
That's so cute.
And more like a cruise missile. You summon him with a squeaky toy where he'll then appear next to you.
That is so cute. But also messed up though, because look at the dog. And you know what it's going to do to the people that it's been directed to attack. Oh my gosh. Warhammer 40k.
This is where your dog meter starts decreasing. He'll fight until his health or meter goes to 0, then you can summon him again after a cooldown. He highlights enemies and you can sick him on them to either distract or kill them. He gets better at this over time because the dog also has upgradable bionics. Compared to yourself when more powerful enemies appear, the dog becomes less viable in combat over time. So you need to keep upgrading him if you don't want him to stay trapped as glorified radar. There is some strangeness to this. For example, when you upgrade all of your own bionics, you unlock the S-Class rank. It's just the mega buff. Fully upgrading the dog has nothing like that. I didn't think it would digivolve into a pit bull, but I thought there'd be something. It's odd because the dog needs a big final buff way more than you do. It's also kind of funny that you can name all your guns, but you can't name your dog. Okay, I'll get
Really? Nah, man, that's not right.
real now. The biggest issue with the dog is how dumb his AI is. You can spam the squeaky toy at someone right by you and he won't go for it until he just does it on his own. Sometimes you sick him on a bad man and all seems well, but then he misses you and he runs back. He'll often refuse to cross over a tiny ledge. At the same time, I've regularly seen him airbud his way out of the material plane. It's a janky experience, even
No, but that's... No, but MandaloreGaming, I mean, that's something that dogs do, you know? Sometimes they won't go towards where you want them to go. Sometimes they will go to the target, but then they'll come running back to you as the owner because, you know, they don't want to be too far away from you. Yeah, those are like the actions of a real dog. So, yes, it might seem as if it's in the wrong and, you know, the AI of the dog might not be, you know, efficient, but I think it's acting like a real dog. You know, sometimes because it's a living creature, it will decide for itself whether it wants to go, you know, towards where its master is telling it to go, or it will not, or it will stay with the master, you know. Yeah, so I think what they did here with the dog, I think it was by purpose, and I think it works. Yeah.
the fact that when you summon him he just kind of appears next to you is odd. You could at least have a teleporter effect. I know those are expensive in 40k, but the bounty hunter loves their dog, like, who cares? It is fortunate that you can easily play the game without ever using the dog, but if that's the big feature you were looking forward to, it's in a rough state. So to tackle the bigger issues, combat. Overall, the combat feels fantastic and is wonderful to play. If it wasn't obvious by now, the game is clearly influenced by the Doom reboot. Now, that is a solid pick to draw from. I mean, better than 40 Quake. Do you remember 40 Quake? No one remembers 40 Quake. Okay, this is a case where they would have done a lot better by taking more from Doom. Necromunda also has these glory kill takedowns, and they're cool looking, but here's the thing. In Doom, you have to stun them first. This isn't the case here. You can just run up on people and press a button to kill them. There's a lot attached to this. You have your shields and health. Your shields are effectively armor in any other game. They don't regenerate on their own and you have to pick more up. With health you can regenerate it with a medkit, but you only get 3 per level. You can also heal through a passive bionic. Shortly after you've taken damage, you can deal damage to heal, but only for a few seconds. Again, this is encouraging you to keep moving and stay in the fight. You want to keep the pace up, but the takedown slows down all of that. You'll always heal from it, and you're invincible while you do it. The easiest solution would be, don't be invincible while doing this. There are areas to use it in a sneakier way because the game's not non-stop arena combat. However, the system itself existing is a detriment to melee. See, you do have a power knife, but it's a bionic ability, it's not an equipable weapon. You go into a lightspeed CSGO mode and can cut anything apart. So to hit someone up close, you either go into knife mode or perform a takedown. I think the game would have benefited from melee weapons, especially with how limited the current roster is. They are very customizable and can be tuned for different roles, but you're on the same frame. All of these here are the same 2 heavy weapons. There are 3 special weapons, so your inventory can only hold 3. This limitation applies to all the loot you find in the game. You'd think you'd be unlocking stuff until the very end, but you taper out pretty fast. You're finding slightly better versions of the same stuff. It seems like there should be more, like for example, armor is always a light undersuit. I would expect variations here, like heavier armor that slows you down and trade-off similar to that. Instead, it's almost always a straight upgrade with some minor effects. So why have 4 inventory slots for that, but only 3 for the heavily customizable special weapons up here? I even maxed out rewards for 3 different factions just to see if there might be something new. It's the same stuff and not even guaranteed to be particularly good. This seems like the kind of game where you'd want to be hunting for special effect items, but there just aren't any. Having new weapons, and especially proper melee ones, would improve both the flow of combat and the game's lifespan. It's a really solid base game, but without multiplayer or itemization like that, you don't have much of an endgame. Now that's perfectly okay if having a 15 to 20 hour one and done game was their intention, but I get the feeling they wanted you to be playing it more. If they do properly support it, the sky's the limit with a bounty hunter game. You could bring in new factions, new bigger enemies besides Robot, Ogren, and 5G Ogren. Bring in the rest of the Gene Stealers from Space Hulk, that'd be fun. For now though, maybe don't be immortal when doing takedowns. Maybe on higher difficulties. Still, to give a quote to take wildly out of context, this is the best Warhammer 40k shooter I've ever played. We are operating on one hell of a scale, but even with the jank and bugs, I stand by that. Franchise aside, I had a lot of fun with Necromunda. It's a good FPS with a lot of creativity, and the only thing that worries me about it is the polish. It's 15% off on GOG until June 10th in the pinned link, and I think Steam is doing the same thing. I would still advise not pre-ordering the game. It'll be discounted over a week, you don't need the DLC skin, just take a while to wait and look at some other reviews. This could be a bug jungle and I just got lucky. Make sure some other people say it's stable for them too. Okay, so that was very short notice, but back to the regular schedule. Come back next time for the Tim Curry discussion. KOTOR 1 or 2, which do you prefer? Definitely 2. 1 is really good on its own merits where it goes, hey, do you like Star Wars? Here's more Star Wars. 2 does try to tackle some issues in this setting, but it does go up its own ass sometimes, which, what can you do? What game sound bothers you the most? And someone else guessed Fire Warrior Guardsman, but no. It's Cliff Racers and Morrowind. Fire Warrior was a few hours, Morrowind was several years. What's your favorite piece of decoration you own? Well, I have what I call an unblockable conversation piece. I have an animation cell from the 93 Stardust Crusaders OVA. It's in the guest bathroom above the toilet. Everyone who goes in there for the first time has questions when they come out. Have I played any of the Anno 1404 sequels? Yeah, I did. I played 2070 and then I had like a Uplay issue that wiped out my save. I hadn't really checked up on the new ones that much since I heard the space one was kind of lackluster, but the 1800s one, I've heard that's good. It seems like there's some cool city builder kind of games coming out recently. I should check those out. I am still waiting for I2, but this was pretty fun. Alright, that's it for now. Stay safe.
See what happens when you release the Gene Stealers? Yikes. Okay, guys, yes, that's it with MandaloreGaming reviewing Necromunda Hired Gun. Yes, yeah, the game looks very nice. It looks very beautiful. It reminds me of Dark Tide, you know, and I saw the gameplay on YouTube. Yes, there are some issues that hopefully the game developers can update on and fix, you know, in terms of the guns, in terms of the variations of armor that are available, and also fixing just some few, you know, issues in terms of the gameplay. You know, when you see some of your opponents or enemies, you know, glitching in here or there. Yeah, that's it's small problems, but you know, they are there and they just need to be fixed, if I can say that. And also, yes, the dog, you know, if people are not really satisfied with the way the dog is operating, then also that needs to be fixed. The storyline, I don't really know the storyline. I know you're a bounty hunter and you're on Necromunda. Who are you hunting? I'm not entirely sure. You know, and what happens to the character towards the end, I don't know. You know, yeah, he didn't really focus on that. He didn't really focus on the storyline. But the setting, Necromunda, this factory world, really, it's amazing. It's definitely a place I would not want to be in. You know, if such a place existed, please don't take me there. The place would make me go mad. Because of the way things are set out there with just metal, metallic, you know, alloys everywhere. If it's not the mech suits, it's on the floor. If it's not on the floor, it's on the walls, on the ceiling, right, like everywhere. It's just this factory environment, and I would be sick. I would go mad, and I'll just probably go. Yeah, I'll probably just die from the madness. So yeah, everything is happening here on Necromunda. It's just that, you know, it doesn't have those superstars, if I can say that, of the Imperium of Man. There's no Astartes here. There's no, you know, Astra Militarum regiments. There's no the Battle Sisters. There's no Sisters of Silence. No Custodians. None of those people and groups that we hear about almost all the time. This is the people, human beings on you know, planets here that are unrecognizable, like planets that are filled with either cities or factories or, you know, farming communities and stuff like that. So we're dealing with the civilian population of a planet, and you know how they deal with their lives in such a harsh and inhospitable place. And yeah, we got to see a lot of gangs, a lot of Ogrins there, humans with machine parts. I think the Omnissiah would be happy with how things are going on this planet. How many humans here have integrated technology into themselves, making themselves look like they're cyborgs. So yeah, the Omnissiah would be extremely pleased with what's going on this planet. And yeah, this is like a world that is divorced from the outer world, if I can say that. Like I discussed before, that what's happening here in Necromunda is its own microcosm, its own universe that is separate from what's going on in the outer universe. We don't hear about what's going on beyond the city streets of this Factorium world. So yeah, it really is disconnected, but you can still see some things that relate to the Imperium of Man. Sometimes you'd see statues of knights like Astartes. Sometimes you'd see the skulls and the wings and all those kind of images that you would attribute to the Imperium of Man. You would find them there as well, here and there. And of course, the cathedral at the top at the beginning of the game, you would also relate that to Warhammer 40k. The music, also not really what I would enjoy from Warhammer 40k kind of games. I like the choir kind of music. I like that kind of music. So it's not in this game, but it's understandable why it's not in this game. But yeah, it was great. It was a nice game. Guys, that's it. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as MandaloreGaming's YouTube channel, the links are in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you to Eduardo Blob for requesting that I should react to this video. Thank you very much. Okay guys, bye bye.